Most of you guys probably remember this article: cocaine-filled condoms intercepted en route to the Vatican. But then there's this: attempt to deposit fake bonds in Vatican Bank. Vatican police have apprehended a U.S. man and a Dutch man trying to deposit billions of euros and U.S. dollars in fake bonds in the Vatican Bank. They were stopped when they approached one of the guarded gates of the Vatican and asked to be let through. Came a day after Italian prosecutors said the two former top executives at the Vatican the Vatican Bank will go on trial for alleged money laundering, the case that led to the seizure of $34 million. They said that these guys were neither clients at the bank nor were they expected. They say this shows that the controls are working as far as their tainted reputation and vowing to clean it up. But it says, I don't think we're talking about a plot by criminal masterminds if they manage to get caught at the first hurdle. Another J.P. Morgan employee has died in an unnatural death. Number 13, J.P. Morgan bankruptcy lawyer killed while bicycling. This is unnatural death number 5 at J.P. Morgan Chase since the first of the year, and an unnatural death number 13 in the financial industry. They don't know what the close connection is to all these deaths, but they keep coming up. So a Dublin man was killed Saturday morning when he was struck by a car in Miami County. He was riding alone when he was struck by a car at 11 a.m. Saturday morning. Said the road that he was on was flat, no trees, it was just wide open visibility. Some other ones were 58-year-old senior executive at Deutsche Bank found dead at his home after an apparent suicide. Managing director was found dead on the 4th floor of Shangri-La Hotel in Bangkok, January 27th. This 39-year-old JP Morgan employee died after falling off the roof of a JP Morgan European headquarters. Falling off a roof, yeah. 50-year-old chief economist of U.S. Investment Bank was found dead close to the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Washington State. Number 5, 57-year-old founder of American Title Services in Colorado was found dead earlier this month after apparently shooting himself with a nail gun. And UK-based communications director at Swiss AG also died last month. A 37-year-old from J.P. Morgan died in alleged suicide a few weeks ago. A 33-year-old banker in Hong Kong jumped from the J.P. Morgan headquarters this week. James Stewart, former National Bank Commerce CEO, dies in Arizona suddenly with no explanation. 28-year-old American chief executive, Singapore-based virtual currency company First Meta, died mysteriously of an apparent suicide. It says here that a 47-year-old trader at Midtown's Vertical Group jumped in front of a train. I covered that too at 6 a.m. near the train station. And of course, you have the number 13, the bike accident, and then a J.P. Morgan investment banker was number 12, found dead on March 12th after reportedly jumping from the roof of his apartment. The wealthy poor replaced the middle class. I don't like this article because it's kind of disinformation, but it goes on here and it says that one phenomenon of the modern economy is affluence that doesn't feel like it. You work, earn, and spend quite a lot, and yet it seems you're getting nowhere. That's because somebody's sucking up all the fruits of your endeavors, right, of your work. You get to buy overpriced, cheap quality crap, from somewhere else, and you have to a lot of times pay off debt. You have no savings. So I don't know how they get this, but they call it the wealthy poor. Wealthy poor. A surprisingly large chunk of the overall population. 70 million Americans may live in families that describe it as wealthy hand-to-mouth households. They own assets such as homes, cars, retirement plans. Well, not really, right? Because they have loans on all of those and mortgages. Retirement plans that can be rated at any time, like they were before, and even boats, right? Again, they paid for, yet still spend virtually every dollar of the regular income because it's necessary to pay all the bills they've racked up. So they said here that they have no choice but to live from paycheck to paycheck, especially if they have kids headed to college and other bills that come with the duties of raising a family. I didn't know that the duty of raising a family was to send your kid to college, but hey, it's kind of funny because a lot of people can't find work and they have these humongous college loan debts. The things that they're learning besides the regular stuff like pro-globalism and stuff. College course on Miley, Cyrus. Professor insists it will be serious, no twerking will be taught. So, students at the Saratoga Springs campus will be subjected to discussions on the pop star for 2.5 hours per day, 3 days per week. And so, yeah. Its ingrained issues of race, class, gender, and media is reflected by Miley's career, and it'll study how Cyrus shed her wholesome image and adopted her newfound, kinda gross one, and the related sociological implications from Disney teen to twerking machine. University of Arizona students riot after an NCAA tournament loss. So the original place where I found this, were like, this is where their priorities are apparently. But Tucson police said Saturday night that they shot pepper spray at several hundred fans who took to the streets and threw beer bottles and firecrackers at police after the university basketball team's overtime loss. The crowd didn't respond to the dispersal order and began throwing beer bottles. So they said, thank God that the mobile field force unit was deployed. It seems like every freaking city and town has one of those. The sad thing too is that this said here that they were basically it was unlawful assembly. They were shouting on the speaker, so that they were breaking the law. It's too bad that people couldn't assemble for something that was more important, right? Like real issues in that. Here's what happens when you ask 400 people where all 50 states are, and pretty crazy. It says that Americans were asked, 50% could identify New York on an unlabeled map. 43% could locate Ohio, while 67% could find Louisiana. Just 52% knew which state was Mississippi. So not a big deal. They said 94% do know where the U.S. is. But the bad news is that 30% thought the U.S. population was between 1 to 2 billion. They got all kinds of data and information on it. You can go check it out. It says that New Mexico magazine ran a column basically of Americans who were unaware that New Mexico was a state at all. It says that it's funny until you realize that these people are working as bank tellers, postal workers, and even travel agents. Then you have this article about the Millennials. Millennials, they run these stories all the time. They don't have anything bad to say about them. Millennials will be our greatest generation. Given time, they'll outshine even Brokaw's favorites. So to me personally, obviously, I don't think generations should compete. I think generations are a result of manufacturing of society. I think that they're not organically sprung. So when they say the greatest generation, how I perceive that is they'll be the most and are the most exploited generation. I mean, the greatest generation in World War II and all that, they were sent off to a meat grinder for nothing. It wasn't to defend their freedoms. They've become less free. They've made the future generations less free. So, I mean, this whole thing, I don't know why I even cover it anymore. Well, they'll keep putting it out. It's someone's opinion, so. When one New Zealand school tossed its playground rules and let students risk injury. So this is a pretty interesting article here. Basically allowing people to get rough on the playground. They said that they would have benefits. Basically, there was a meeting with this principal and the parents whose kid broke their arm, and it's all about liability. So, God forbid your kid get hurt when they're young. I mean, that can't possibly happen, right? Somebody must be held responsible besides your kid. So it had been mere months since the gregarious principal threw out the rulebook on the playground of concrete and mud, dotted with tall trees, hidden quarters, blah, blah, blah. So I stopped reprimanding students who whipped around on their scooters or wheeled sticks in a play-sword fight. He knew that they might get hurt, and that's exactly the point. Perhaps if they were freed from the cotton wool in which their 21st century parents had them swaddled, his students may develop some resilience, use their imaginations, and solve problems on their own. So he said, one parent, my son broke his arm in the playground, and I just want to make sure. So they thought, oh man, here we go, right? They're going to complain. They said the parent continued, I just want to make sure you don't change this play environment because kids break their arms. He took an unexpected vote of confidence as a further sign that his educational play experiment was working. Fewer children were getting hurt on the playground. Students focused better in class. There was also less bullying, less tattling. Incidences of vandalism had dropped off. A brand new set of baseball bleachers has been torn down after a ruling that girls' softball team seats must be equal. A new set of seating is being torn down. The varsity's boys' baseball field. says a group of parents raised money for a raised seating deck by the field, as it was hard to see the games through a chain link fence. The parents even did the installation themselves and also paid for a new scoreboard. But after a complaint, the U.S. Education Department's Office for Civil Rights investigated the new addition and says it must be torn down. It says the facility was no longer equal to the girls' softball field next door, which has old bleachers and an old scoreboard board. The school agreed to take the seats down after receiving a citation. The seating was also not handicapped accessible. So there'll be all the materials and that will be stored until they comply with the rules, and it's fair to everyone. It says here that first graders are being asked if they have sexual identity issues, so that basically see if they're eligible for special education. So it asked parents. It says here that it was sent home to ask parents to complete the form and check off any stressors their child may have or experienced. This is what first grader's mother showed here. Diet drinks have been linked with heart disease and death. Again, no surprise, I've covered this many times here before, but women who drink the most diet sodas may also become likely to develop heart disease and even die. And of course, we've covered too, it's linked with obesity. So Diet Coke, obesity. Women who drank 2 or more diet drinks a day were 30% more likely to have a heart attack or a cardiovascular event, and 50% more likely to die than women who really touched the drinks. Drinks themselves aren't killers, but women who toss back too many diet sodas may be trying to make up for unhealthy habits. Some of you might want to know, as aspartame is being rebranded as amino sweet. Most of you probably know this, but if you don't, you can look it up. There's all kinds of info on there. It's a sugar substitute in many foods and beverages. It's been linked with headaches, memory loss, seizures, vision loss, coma, and cancer. That worsens other things like diabetes, Alzheimer's, fatigue, depression, but I have heard and read that if you stop taking it within a few weeks to a month or so, the effects start to go away.